our 6th day, we'd arranged a loop, meaning that we'd booked to stay 2 nights at our hotel so we could travel light once again. Our route around Connemara was relatively short, at around 120 miles, so a few of us took a relaxing swim in the hotel pool before setting off for the leisurely day out. The Connemara area boasts a number of attractions, including of course its whisky, but my research before we set out for the trip brought to light a fun topic for us to go and explore. The movie, The Quiet Man, which was released in 1952 and which starred John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara, was filmed in the area. It's a swashbuckling, if rather non-PC tale of an initially reluctant love match, and of course features intrigue, drinking, religion, and a huge fight scene where the fisticuffs cover an impossibly large area. Some 70 years after the film's release, the local tourism industry is still making fine use of it. Hence, our first stop was at the Quiet Man Bridge, which was featured in the film. We parked up our bikes and the lads took in a plaque which explained the significance of the bridge. Caught up in the enthusiasm, Pike took it upon himself to play director and, commandeering the services of some fellow tourists, arranged a convincing reconstruction of the fight for the benefit of our cameras. Leaving our newfound friends to patch up their differences, we set off again up the west coast. Passing through Malmcross and by the side of Loch Inach, we found ourselves stopping for a photo op at the impressive Killary Fjord. As we pulled into the car park and without any forward planning, the guys lined up their bikes really neatly. Well, almost. But could this be a sign of teamwork? Just a few miles down the road, we stopped at the town of Leenorn for lunch, and lo and behold, perfect lineup. White helmets, eat your hearts out. Of course, we've not managed this type of precision before or even since, but it makes for a great photo. After lunch, it was back on the bikes for a fun ride across the moody Connemara landscape and onwards towards the village of Cong. Cong is an incredibly pretty village with some notable points of interest. For instance, it sits across the county line between Galway and Mayo. However, the most obvious aspect is that it was the centre of filming for the aforementioned Quiet Man movie. Indeed, just about everywhere you turn there are signs to buildings used in the movie, a museum, and even a bronze statue of the main protagonists. This was our final stop before a fun ride along the east side of Loch Corrib en route to our hotel. After a quick wash and brush up, we took taxis into Galway for a night on the town. Much as promised, Galway is a lively place with music front and centre. We arrived to be greeted by a rock group giving us some beans on the main street, and stopped for a while to take in the show. At the end of the evening, with a few pints and a curry having gone the way of all things, we headed to Taff's Bar to be greeted by local musicians putting a traditional touch on things in grand style. We'd had the benefit of front row seats, courtesy of Walker, who had eaten earlier and skipped out on the curry to save us a place. After the hectic schedule of sightseeing, meals and drinks, day 7 was set to be somewhat of an anticlimax, with our route consisting of a straight line coast-to-coast dash from Galway to Dublin, ready for a quick pop across the water the next morning. We'd planned to stop off at the Golden Mile at Athlone to take in the sights, but a generous helping of barricades and scaffolding put paid to any picturesque views, so we kept on going. In a similar vein, we'd planned to take a stop at a wood-fired pizza restaurant nestled in a country park, but it was shut, something we're just learning to live with in this post-COVID era. After a couple of hasty phone calls though, we managed to rearrange lunch at an excellent hostelry with a slight alliterative challenge, Grogan's of Glasson. We were in no particular hurry, so we took our time over the grub. And after grabbing an artistic photo of Pike's helmet, we waited for his sugar rush to subside before we pushed on to our final hotel on the outskirts of Dublin. After booking in, we headed out to a local pizza restaurant to make up for the lunchtime closure, and had ourselves a celebratory Last Supper, all set in a very pretty and quiet area, considering its proximity to the city. The next morning, the Manx contingent headed off for the ferry, encountering a surprise €10 toll on the way, but otherwise getting off with no drama, and being encouraged by one of the gang's wives, who sent us a picture of the calm seas approaching home. The same couldn't be said though for Walker, who was headed to England on a later sailing. Having a little time to spare, he went for a final ride out, only to catch the mother of all punches en route. Ireland being what it is though, he soon encountered a local rider who made a phone call, and in a very short time he was back on the road with fresh tyres. The turnaround was quick enough to allow him to catch his ferry as booked, so a lucky escape. We'd all had a great time, no one came a cropper, and we saw some great roads and impressive sights along the way. We put paid to a bunch of lovely meals with plentiful drinks to boot, and all in the company of the locals who were friendly, generous and accommodating throughout. I'll finish the video with a quick resume of some of the sites. Thanks for watching, and we hope you'll check back for details of our next adventure.